A young man that we will call Gianni works at a gas station. And compared to other gas stations that he had worked at previously, this one was actually a pretty sweet gig. I was in a fairly laid back part of town, and so he didn't have to deal with too many people coming in and causing trouble. Most of the people who came into the gas station were families and people going to and from work and that sort of thing. And he also preferred to work the night shift because you get paid the same amount of money, but you don't have to deal with as many customers. And this story takes place on a particularly slow night at the gas station when Gianni was the only one working. And on a slow night like this, Gianni mostly just hangs out behind the counter and tries to entertain himself, sometimes in very long stretches between when customers come into the gas station. The sun had gone down and the rush hour crowd had already gone home, and so things were pretty quiet by this point at the gas station when Gianni sees an SUV pull up to one of the pumps. And this is a nice sort of upper middle class kind of SUV. It's not a G-Wagon or anything like that, but it's a rather nice car. And out of the SUV comes this woman. And she looks like she's in her early 40s and she's dressed nicely. Her hair is styled. But there was something kind of strange about this woman, and that was she had this look on her face that was both completely blank of emotion, but at the same time, terribly fearful, as if she had just seen something that scared the living daylights out of her. And she's not walking with any sort of purpose. She's kind of just wandering slowly over toward the door of the gas station. And when she gets to it, she just stands there. She doesn't reach out to open the door, at least not yet. And Gianni's getting a better look at her now, and it's just strange because she seems so put together. Her clothes were fashionable and they were clean, and her hair was styled, like I said. And by all accounts, this was a woman who looked like she had her life in order, but here she was with a 1,000-yard stare, just staring off into absolutely nothing. After a few more seconds, she grabs the door to the gas station and she walks inside. And then once again, when she's inside, she doesn't start going forward to the counter or to buy some snacks. She again just stands there and looks off. Gianni just watches her for a few seconds before finally speaking up and just saying, "Hello, ma'am. Welcome to the gas station. Let me know if I can do anything to help you." And when he says this, the woman's head snaps over to look at him as if it was really unexpected that anybody would be talking to her. And after that, the woman with these wide and terrified eyes says to Gianni, "You can see me?" And Gianni, pretty confused, says, "Yes, ma'am, I can see you just fine." And with that, the woman breaks down sobbing. She's sobbing so bad that she falls to the floor of the gas station and is just crying her eyes out. And Gianni's totally confused, but he knows he needs to help this woman who's obviously going through something. So he comes around the counter to go try to console her. But he also has his phone ready to call 911 in case this woman starts to get aggressive or does something crazy. And he kind of just kneels down next to her and says, "Whatever you're going through, it's going to be okay. Is there anything I can do to help?" But she's too inconsolable. Right next to the entrance of the gas station was this pallet of soda. So he kind of directs her to go and sit on the soda to catch her breath. And he brings her some water and just tries to do whatever he can to help her, even though he has no idea what's going on. The woman's crying begins to slow down a little bit and she starts to catch her breath. And finally, she's able to blurt out to Gianni, "I thought that I had died." Gianni doesn't really understand what she's talking about. She looks like she's fine. There's no injuries on her. He had worked at many gas stations over the years, and he had seen a lot of people who were on drugs or who were very drunk, and he was pretty good at spotting that sort of thing. And this woman did not give any indication that she was either drunk or on drugs. She seemed like she was a very put together professional person, but something had gone terribly wrong. He's not really sure how to respond to this woman's admission that she thought that she had died. He's not sure if he should ask more questions or if she's going to be offended by that. So he just kind of stands there, and then the woman speaks up again and asks if she can call her husband. Now, Gianni's thinking that maybe this phone call will give some more clues about what's going on just based on the dialogue that she has with her husband. But the phone call is super to the point. She basically says to her husband, "Hi, I'm at this gas station. Something bad has happened. You need to come get me." And that's it. So Gianni still has zero idea about what's going on or really about how to help this woman. But since it's kind of a slow night, he decides that he's just going to sit down on the pallet next to this woman and make sure that she's okay, since he doesn't really have any other customers to take care of. And that's when the woman decides to explain to Gianni exactly what had happened. She had gone to work earlier in the day, and then after work, she went out to dinner with some of her coworkers. And she's driving home from dinner, and she's stopped at this particularly large intersection that's fairly close to the gas station. She's sitting at the red light. The light changes to green. She starts going out into the intersection. And then she's hit at high speed by a truck that had run a red light. When she says this, Gianni looks out toward the pumps to look at the woman's SUV, and there's not a scratch on it. So he's thinking this woman's car wasn't hit by a truck going 50 miles an hour. But she continues to explain to him. She says that she remembers getting hit. She remembers the last thing that she saw being that truck coming and hitting the side of her car. She could feel the collision from it. And that was the last thing that she remembered until she woke up in the back of an ambulance. And when she woke up, she was numb all over, and she saw EMTs scrambling, trying to work on her, and she saw those bright fluorescent lights that they have in the back of the ambulance that were almost blinding to her. And then she could feel herself start to slip, and she could feel darkness closing in on her. And that was the last thing that she remembered. The next thing that she knew, she was back in her car. She was in the driver's seat, and she was at the same intersection that she had just passed through, the same intersection where she had just been mortally wounded. But she was perfectly fine. She doesn't know how long she could have been sitting there, but it couldn't have been long because the light was still red and there were still cars behind her. She couldn't understand. It was real to her. She really died. She could feel when that truck hit the side of her car. She could feel the darkness closing in on her when she was in the back of the ambulance. To her, she died. It was 100% real to her. And that's why when she pulled up to the gas station, she looked like a zombie. She wasn't even sure if she was still alive. She was convinced at that point that she was now a spirit. And so when Gianni greeted her in the gas station, she was shocked to find out that she was still alive. Not long after that, the woman's husband shows up, and the two of them get into the husband's car and they leave. And Gianni's kind of flabbergasted by what he experienced. That woman's fear was so genuine. Whatever happened, she believed that she died. But was it a hallucination? Was it some kind of vision from an alternate reality in which she truly did die? Or was it something else? Welcome to my void. I said in my last video that I would soon be living in a world of darkness, and here I am, as you can see behind me. I'm floating in vast nothingness, and I couldn't be happier about it. I know that this video and my last video were much shorter than most of my videos are. That's not a new style I'm going for. That's just what I had time to do. I am working on a few videos that are going to be significantly longer, and obviously they're going to take up a much bigger chunk of time. But as always, thank you so much to everybody who watched the video, everyone who subscribed, who liked the video, who commented. I know I don't always have time to respond to all the comments, but I do read all of them, and I really, really appreciate and appreciate all of the feedback that you guys give me. So thank you so much. And now I'm going to fade to black so it looks like I'm becoming one with the void.